Shabbat Shalom. Okay, all right, we are live now, everybody.
Okay.
How are you? Okay. What you got? So no, we're doing that. So we'll have a sort of kind of thing for our kids in school, right? And then free one like which join us for capital budget. And then we will have a order. We've always had this so that take home this big.
Shabbat Shalom, Sue and Mark.
Everything's good. This is Sue and Mark. They're from Ottawa. Say again? This is Sue and Mark. They're from Ottawa. Oh. Sue was the education director in Ottawa. And Mark was in the lawyer.
I usually stand behind you. Yeah, but then you look even smaller, so I should stand behind you. No.
We can still hear it, just as in a whisper.
get in trouble tonight.
That's why God invented the mute button.
I had the mute button on. I took it off.
I don't know. You should have been.
Another one. Weineke. EKE.
Are you folks just visiting for the weekend, or are you here all the time with the congregation?
We're actually in Ottawa.
Okay.
Rob was our rabbi for 4 years.
But I've known him for 20
Mhm.
Shush.
some years.
Well, like when he was just a mere child.
He was definitely a child.
That's. I've not been, I've been to Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, but I've not been to. So I guess if I've been to Toronto, isn't that is in Ottawa itself, isn't it? The
It's in
province?
Ontario. It's in the same province. Yeah.
See, Americans, we learn nothing about anywhere else in the world. You learn
Ottawa
United
is the
States.
capital of Canada.
Yes.
Toronto is the capital of Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just can't stay here.
And you have a good hockey team. Used to be a little better, but
Our hockey team sucks.
okay.
Toronto's better.
I'm trying to- yeah,
Here we have the Ottawa Senators. They're not so good.
yeah. But they were, and now it's like everything is so cyclical. We're maybe on the upward swing here in Philadelphia with the Flyers.
Okay, we'll start in just a couple of minutes. So we're alive, and here we go.
That's why I do this. Good boy, no barking. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy.
So we're good.
Story about Pete Perry.
What? Shabbat Shalom.
Hello.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome, whether you are here in person or joining us via our live stream on YouTube. Wonderful to be together and celebrate Shabbat and create this sacred community. We have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat planned. We have our two guest lay cantors. We have Sue Peteshin and Mark Kamens coming to us from Ottawa. Thank you, my good friends Mark and Sue, for joining us and helping lead our music. And we have Bill Medway, who is our speaker this evening, and we'll learn some more from Bill in just a little while. So thank you all for joining us, and truly an amazing experience of pulling people from all over. Bill is in Philadelphia, Mark and Sue in Ottawa. We are here in Erie, and yet we come together and celebrate Shabbat. So it's a beautiful thing. And so we'll begin on page 2 with our Shabbat candles, and we'll invite Lisa Nathanson forward to light our candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Mayafeh Hayom, how beautiful this day is, as we turn together to page 10.
Mayafeh hayom Shabbat Shalom. Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Turning together to page 12, we join in Lechuna Ranana. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is great, God, the great ruler of all divine beings. We join together.
Lechuna Ranana. Yai, lai, 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 L'Adonai. Yai, lai, 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 Nariya. Yai, lai, 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 Litzur Yishenu. Lai, 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 lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechuna Ranana. Lai, 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 L'Adonai. Yai, lai, 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 Nariya. Lai, 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 Litzur Yishenu. Yai, lai, 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 for all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechuna Ranana. Lai, 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 L'Adonai. Yai, lai, 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 Nariya. Lai, 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 Litzur Yishenu. Lai, 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 lai.
And we welcome Shabbat into our hearts and into our lives with Lecha Dodi, page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala 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 Nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala yala Nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Hishmiyanu el hameyuchad Adonai echad Ushmo echad L'shem tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala Nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala Nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha Sof Maaseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala Nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala Nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri Ki ba'orech u'mi'ori Uri, Uri, Shir Dabiri, Kivod Adonai, Alayich Nigla. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Yalalai, 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 Bnei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Yalalai, 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 Bnei Shabbat, Nekabela. Voi v'shalom, ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
Please be seated as we continue page 24. We welcome each other, Shalom Aleichem, and we say Aleichem Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Amlochim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malchei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlochim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, malchei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom aleichem, shalom aleichem, malachei hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We rise together for Chatzi Kaddish, page 26.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה.
Amen.
ועמד יברכותי והמליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל. בגלל בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך מעולם לעולמי יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל Shemei Kudisha
Barichu.
Leila Binkol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Damiran B'Yama Riberu
Amen. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai.
Please be seated, and we continue with Ma'ariv Aravim, page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem b'rakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Everlasting love, you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachreinu, U'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, Ve'orech yameinu, Uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, Mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael.
We rise together for Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam, Le'olam.
Please be seated as we continue Ve'ahavta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Adonai Elohechem.
Page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and your love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Today, the nations we won and at peace, and shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'er b'kodesh, norah tehilo, Sefer. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'er b'kodesh.
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Let's join together on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Page 47. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. We rise together for Amidah, page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu ve'imoteinu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Melech Hasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol. וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים,
סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר עשוי, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך נביא ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנת לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני וחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 53. Days pass and the years vanish and we walk sightless amongst miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see, wherever we gaze, that the bush burns unconsumed. And we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 57. Ever-present One, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Let's join together on page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki atah Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael Amcha, Asim leolam. Shalom Yisrael Amcha. Asim leolam. Tasim leolam.
We take a few moments and turn inward to those prayers in our own hearts, our own minds, those private conversations with God. A few moments of silent prayer.
Yehi le'atzoni my feet. Yehi le'atzoni my feet. Ve'yon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri ve'goali.
We turn together to page 253. We think of all those who continue to struggle with COVID-19, their caregivers, their family, their friends, for all those who have been affected both in our own lives, our families, our friends, our community, but across the world. So many people struggling. And in our congregation, we think of all those who need our extra energy, our extra blessing of healing. And so we mention Greg Bennett, Michael Byron, Scott Gordon, Rebecca Gottlieb, Phyllis Levin, Jacob Adams, Pat Hanna, Irina Shevretskaya, Zachary Jackson, Bruce Harrell, Gary Shapira, Andrea Kepner Blake, the Rodland family, Terry Harris, Jerry Penn, Marilyn Weinecke, Matea Press, Joe Riley, Joseph Passetner, Edie Francis, Fran Porras, Jim McCann, Sheila Cohn, and Edna Fritz. If you are joining us via our live stream and you have a name that you would like to add, please add that name into our chat box. If you are here in person, please, as I look around the room, share whatever name you wish.
Andy Johnson, Josh Segovia.
We join together in Misha Berach, not exactly the version we have in the prayer book, but it's close. This one by Lisa Levine.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer,
Hear our prayer.
hear our prayer,
Hear our prayer.
hear our prayer,
Hear our prayer.
hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers,
Hear our
Hear our
prayer.
prayer.
Hear our
Hear our
prayer.
prayer.
Hear our
Hear our
prayer.
prayer.
Hear our prayer. And
Bless us as well.
It is my honor and pleasure to welcome Bill Medway to our congregation as our speaker this evening. Bill is, as he mentioned, from Philadelphia and is part of the leadership team for RAC PA. So how many of you know what RAC PA stands for, Eva? Good. All right, Julie, what is it? Religious Action Center, Pennsylvania chapter. And so we will be participating with RAC PA in the coming months and years, and we'll have lots to share about that. But this evening, we are focusing on the racial justice campaign this year, which is focusing on elections. And we're calling it Just Elections, Real Change Starts Here. And this nonpartisan campaign, which really is grounded in Jewish values, is really intended to help make sure that elections here in our state provide fair and equal access to the ballot box for all citizens. And just to share a little bit, Bill is a public relations and communications expert, and he focuses his skills to advance the causes that are really important to him. Much of his work these days is goes towards supporting social justice efforts for the reform movement and developing social marketing and advocacy marketing campaigns for other not-for-profit organizations. He's a member of Beth David Reform Congregation and lives in Philadelphia and is a member of their synagogue's board of trustees. So welcome, Bill. I'm going to turn it over to you. And looking forward, welcome.
Thank you. And thanks for the kind introduction. I hope we will get a prize to the woman who knew what RAC PA stood for. That is great. So my job is already done, but it is a pleasure to be here representing the Reform Action Center's Pennsylvania affiliate program. We're one of 9 state programs that have been started within the RAC universe. And the RAC, as you know, is the Religious Action Center Reform Judaism. Its goal is to unify the reform movement in North America to fight for a variety of causes that are grounded in Jewish values, but mean so much to the world around us, from the environment to racial justice and refugees. There's no cause that the RAC is not involved in and trying to get members of the reform movement involved in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the RAC PA program, how we got started, what we did in our first year, but then spend most of the time focusing on what we're currently doing and how you might want to get involved. I'm going to try to share some information via PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Great. So let me just move this out of the way. Great. So let me start at the very beginning. The RAC Pennsylvania program began in the summer of 2020, and it was part of the national Every Voice, Every Vote campaign, which was designed to number one, make sure that Reform Jewish people across the country voted in the 2020 election, to also help with voting rights and voting action by marginalized, underrepresented people within our country, and also to make sure that to combat voter suppression. And that became our job. We focused on Pennsylvania doing that. We contacted over 20,000 people to help them understand the voting process in Pennsylvania. As the rabbi mentioned, this is a nonpartisan campaign. We only cared about people and their desire to vote, didn't care about party or what policies they were for. The goal was just to make sure they understood the process in a very difficult year. As I said, we reached over 20,000 people. A good example of us, the work we did was in Allegheny County, outside of Pittsburgh. There were about 25,000 ballots that were sent out with the wrong election information, one of the races. And we, between ourselves and one other organization, we contacted as many of those people, close to all 25,000, to tell them about that new ballots would be going out and to hold off on voting until they got those. We also did work with the national campaign to reach out to people, all over the country, send them postcards about voting procedures in their state. So that was our program last, and this continued through the Georgia runoff elections. And it was an amazing experience for all our people to come together. In Pennsylvania, we have 40 different Reform congregations, plus other communities. They may be at a college, camp, or in Pittsburgh, the JCC down there. They're all part of our RAC PA community. 40 congregations, 40,000 Reform Jews. And that's a powerful voice when we're all kind of pointing in the same direction to take on a cause. So for this year, our campaign was going to focus on, following the lead of the Religious Action Center, our campaign was going to focus on racial justice, but we had to figure out which issue. You can see there in the diagram what I call the pillars of racial justice, a variety of causes, from voting rights and election reform, equity in education, environmental justice, health equity, criminal justice reform, economic empowerment, all of these issues. Which issue could we focus on? We couldn't do it all. And
Sorry, Bill.
Yes.
For whatever reason, we can't see your slides.
Oh, okay. Hang on one sec. They are so beautiful. I put a lot of time into them. Hang on, let's see.
You got to share the screen.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Does that mean I need to start over? No, I don't think that would. Oh, no, it's not that bad. All right.
There you go.
Okay, now we're doing it. Now it's all right. We'll start where we left off. So the job began was to try to focus that on one particular issue where we could have make a tangible difference as a community, where we could lend our voice to other organizations and, as I said, make a difference. So after doing some research, we had a research team of about 20 to 25 people. We talked to organizations all over the state in those racial pillars. And after doing that, figuring out a variety of things, you can see here what the criteria we used to make a decision and narrow that down to 3 specific issues: gerrymandering and voting rights, full and fair funding of public education in the state, reducing gun violence. And then we decided it was important to go out and talk to the Reformed Jewish community in Pennsylvania. And we did a listening campaign. We spoke to, we had about 30 different listening sessions across the state. 270 some individuals participated. They were led by people within each congregation, and found out a couple of important things. The first thing that we found out was that Reform Jews across the state care passionately about all 3 of these issues. They would like to work, they wouldn't be dissatisfied with any one of them that we selected. And they are highly motivated about the lack of racial equality in Pennsylvania. But the issue that concerned them the most, protecting and enhancing voting rights. Because without fairly drawn voting districts and free and fair elections, we will not have a representative, responsive legislature. And without that, there will be no change. This diagram right here, which was created by Fair Districts Pennsylvania, one of our partners in the campaign we're working on, really says it best. But the bottom line is that we realized if we did not focus on various aspects of elections that change could not happen. So that was the birth of our campaign. It's called Just Elections, Real Change Starts Here. We have a vision and a mission for this. Our vision is to build on Jewish values so that Pennsylvania elections are fair, honest, and marked by district maps that favor no particular party, are racially equitable, and that voting is free and unfettered. Our mission, we amplify the work of organizations that are at the forefront of racial equity and voting rights in Pennsylvania. And we're also working on a national voter protection legislation like the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Act. Also, we see this as an extension of our 2020 campaign. So it's, let me just kind of explain. We see this campaign consisting of three components. Just redistricting, which we're focusing on now and probably through February of 2022, I should say. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that the maps that are currently being drawn for the legislative districts in Pennsylvania for both the General Assembly and Congress are drawn fairly, both from a nonpartisan standpoint as well as from a racial equity standpoint. We're also focusing on just election laws, eliminating the structural barriers to free and fair elections, no voter suppression. What can we do as a state to make the process easier, more convenient, so that more people vote? And also resisting any rollbacks of those freedoms like the mail-in ballots, and then also work at the national level. And then we'll have, and that also will continue from October through November of next year. And then we have just voting to make sure that we help register voters and get out the vote so that people understand the voting process. And that will start in March and go through November of next year. So let's talk about the first thing that we're working on right now, which is redistricting. And this is the what we consider to be the best first step in ensuring just elections. Redistricting, probably heard a lot about it these days. People also talk about gerrymandering, and redistricting, we hope, will eliminate the partisan gerrymandering, the racial gerrymandering that's taking place, has taken place in Pennsylvania, and made our government less responsive than it ought to be. So redistricting occurs every 10 years after the census is completed. Now, while Pennsylvania's population grew slightly from 2010 to 2020, it didn't grow as fast as other states. So we are actually going to lose one of our 18 seats in the House of Representatives. So that'll be one issue that's dealt with. PA is also one of the most gerrymandered states in the country, which to some extent is caused by both major political parties. No one's exempt from criticism for this. So redistricting is not a partisan issue. It is a nonpartisan issue. And majorities in both parties and across the political spectrum support the elimination of gerrymandering. Historically, when electoral maps are redrawn, though, in Pennsylvania, the process tends to favor incumbents and underrepresents people of color. Regarding the latter, consider that the Pennsylvania Senate currently only has 4 people of color. That's about 8%, when the actual percentage of people of color in the state is well over 20% and growing. So only 4 people of color, and there has never been a Hispanic state senator in the history of Pennsylvania. And that's why we're collaborating with frontline organizations such as PA Voice and Fair Districts to ensure that the redistricting process currently underway in PA is grounded in fairness and racial equity. But you know, this whole process is kind of mystifying to people. It is can be complicated. So let me just kind of explain this. You will get, I'll send these slides to the rabbi to distribute to you. But understand that Pennsylvania's redistricting process consists really of 2 processes. One is to redraw the district maps for our now 17 congressional seats. The second is to redraw the districts in the General Assembly, which requires a map for the 203 state House seats and a separate map for the 50 state Senate seats. So we have these two processes and they're completely different. Makes it pretty complicated. The process for the US House districts, the maps are drawn and passed through the normal, I use that term lightly, I guess, the normal legislative process. Because we have divided government in the state right now, it's going to be a more cooperative and a compromise is likely, unlike in 2011 where one party controlled it. Now it is, both parties have to come to some middle ground on this in order to pass the maps for the 17 districts. It's usually a much less transparent process with few opportunities for public input, but it's somewhat different this time around. The legislatures and the governor taking the process of getting input more seriously. As for the seats in the General Assembly, the maps are drawn by a 5-member legislative reapportionment commission, or the LRC. It consists of 2 representatives from each party. The 5th, and typically the deciding vote, is this year in the hands of Mark Nordenberg, former chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh, and generally considered an independent, impartial decision maker. Because the representatives of the 2 major parties couldn't decide on the 5th member, the Supreme Court appointed Mr. Nordenberg. And as I said, so far he's really bending over backwards to make sure that there's input. The process is civil and transparent with lots of opportunities for input. So that the maps that we are focusing on in our campaign are the seats in the General Assembly. So our goal is to try to focus on the maps being drawn by our coalition partners to get those to carry the day, if you will. The reason we selected this, number one, this process is not subject to the same inherent checks and balances as this decade's congressional maps. Again, there's you have to kind of rely on the impartiality of Mr. Nordenberg, which I think is a very reasonable expectation. But this is a complicated process, and they need assistance from the community. The community has to have a big say in this. Now, we don't consider ourselves mapping experts, so that's why it's important for us to work with organizations that have the expertise and support what they're doing. So let's talk about what you might be able to do to help in this process, what our current priorities are and how you can help. Our first priority at RAC-PA for this campaign is advocating on behalf of the maps submitted to the LRC by our coalition partners. And the coalition partners, as I said, Fair Districts PA and also PA Voice. And fortunately, they are working together. The mission of PA Voice is to focus on the racial equity aspect of this. And they're only really looking at 7 counties in the state, which have the highest percentage of people of color in the population. Fair Districts is looking at the entire state, creating a map for the entire state, and they are working together. Fair Districts is incorporating the maps drawn by PA Voice. How can you help? How can we help? Well, a couple things. Writing and submitting testimony in favor of the maps to the LRC. They need public pressure. They need the public to speak out. Now, again, we're not experts on the technical aspects of redistricting, the legal aspects. That's why, our goal is to just support the maps to amplify the voices of Fair Districts PA and PA Voice, and they're providing us with the talking points, and we'll help people write this testimony. Also, writing and submitting letters to the editor, letters to the editor in different parts of the state in favor of maps. And then working with other volunteers in your congregation to write and submit an op-ed piece. An op-ed piece is a bigger, longer piece, but it is probably more powerful than an individual letter to the editor. So, and again, we're available to consult and help. We have tons of resources. So if that is something that interests you, I suggest that you email Rabbi Sonia Starr at RAC-PA. Her email address is there, sstarr@rac.org, and give her your name, and we will follow up with you. Our second priority. Right now, we're also focusing on just election laws, specifically at the federal level, where in the coming week, we have an opportunity to advocate for passage of the Freedom to Vote Act, which is currently before the US Senate. I'm sure you've heard about this and kind of the log jam that's there. And here's what we're planning to do about that. We're having, this is being coordinated right now by the National Religious Action Center, RAC. They're setting up Freedom to Vote call-in days. They're next week, next Monday through Thursday. And during that time, Reformed Jews all over the country will be calling their states, their senators, and the White House to urge them to support and pass the Freedom to Vote Act, and if need be, to do something with the filibuster to allow this to be debated and voted on. So there are specific sessions that are taking place next week at 1 o'clock, next Monday through Thursday. There are these sessions you can attend, one or all of them, whatever you need. During the session, you'll get some training and then make calls to your senators and to President Biden. RAC staff will be available to answer questions you might have. All you need to do is register one time, and then you can use that link to attend any sessions, participate, and you can call on your own as well. But it is great to be able to do it with other people, kind of share the highs and lows, ask questions, and you can see the link there in order to sign up for this process. And there are other things you can do. For example, RAC-PA has a rapid response team. This process is constantly changing, quickly changing. So we need to be able to have a core of people who are willing to, somewhat on a moment's notice, attend a hearing, go to a rally, make some phone calls or send emails. So we have a special rapid response force, and you can email Sonia's Rabbi Starr again to get your name added to that list. And you can also help mobilize other members of your congregation to participate in the campaign. Again, that's the strength of RAC-PA. We have 40 congregations, 40,000 Reformed Jews. Imagine us all working together to amplify these messages. Think of the change we can help create. So if you'd like to help organize and mobilize members of your congregation, contact a rabbi to volunteer. I'm sure you'll find him very receptive to hearing from you about this. So that's essentially the formal information I wanted to provide. Hopefully that was wasn't too torturous, but I'm happy to answer a few questions, Rabbi, if that's okay, or stick around afterwards, whatever you'd like to do.
Questions?
Yeah, I guess people can write them in the chat. Just ask them in the sanctuary, whatever it is. I'm happy to answer them. And just maybe a little show of hands, Rabbi. How many people have some interest in getting involved in a campaign like this? Does it sound like something you might want to do? I can't see the congregations, but I do hope some hands are up.
Yeah, we've got some hands up. Yep.
Great. And do people have any questions about it, about the mechanics of it, why we're doing it, why this particular focus? Happy to answer them.
Okay. Is there a is there a RAC, Texas?
There is not a RAC, Texas. No. You know what? I'm sorry. There is a RAC, Texas. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure there actually is a RAC, Texas. Pennsylvania was the 8th state to step up. We now have a RAC in local or state program in Florida, Massachusetts, California, New York, Illinois. Pennsylvania is a unique situation because of the unique nature of the legislature here. Again, we have divided power. So it is difficult to get some of these initiatives, passed. But at the same time, what's so important is to take advantage of the diversity of Pennsylvania, because, we're not just working just with Reformed Jews, but we're reaching out to other communities of faith. And we have an advantage. When we talk to legislators or lobbyists or other people, we have a certain power to speak from an impartial point of view, but also really from the values and the beliefs and teachings of thousands of years. So we have a certain amount of credibility and authority. We are not partisan. We are speaking from the heart, and we're speaking from the values, the Judeo-Christian values, and that carries a lot of weight. with legislators. So that's why we need people from across the state, because there are legislators across the state, and the beliefs, the issues that are important vary from region to region. So that's how we can take advantage of our strength. We are many different organizations, but we're bound by one faith, and that really can give us some power if we will use it in all the different nooks and crannies of Pennsylvania. We're in at least 29 counties. We have congregants in at least 29 counties, from Erie all the way to Southeast PA, to Northeast PA, Central Pennsylvania, and Southwest. And that's a tremendous thing, because a lot of organizations may have members, but they're not as unified as we are.
Bill, thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I'm going to stay for the rest of your service. And
Excellent.
Afterwards, I'll be around and I will send you these slides. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. And we're looking forward to working with you and with RAC PA, and really continuing that sense of mission and vision of leading the people and leading our community. So we're going to turn now to page 282 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, v'tei gdula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu kolim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטל שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקר בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו את מצולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת עינו, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated as we think of those who have come before us, on whose shoulders we stand, as our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. We are in the period of Shloshim for Shelley Kaplan, and we observe the following yahrzeits on this Shabbat: Moses Eisenberg, Louis Goldman, Sarah Levy, Willa Jane Urich, Milton Nadworthy, Max Jacobs, Jack H. Blumberg, Herman King, I. Jerry Cohen, Regina Weisenkorn, David Einhorn, Becky Ehrlich Obernauer, Ludwig Sender, Milton L. Tenenbaum, Joseph Pessin, Sarah Baer, Robert Friedberg, Alfred Silberman, Isidore Rosen, Miriam Sunstein, and Louis Goldsmith. If those joining via live stream have a name that they would like to add, please add it into our chat box. For those here in person, if you have a name that you would like to add, please do so as I look around. We rise together as we turn to page 294 for words of Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'elam u'larmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabam v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Please be seated as we welcome Janice Wimmer's house. Oh, no, Lisa. Lisa, why don't you come forward again and share announcements? You have the video.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you to all the in-person and virtual guests today, or participants in the service. And thank you to our guests as well, our special cantorial soloists, Sue and Mark, and our guest speaker, Bill Medway. Thank you for your participation. So the announcements on your service paper include, of course, tomorrow's Shabbat morning service, which is in person via Zoom or YouTube. There's a Torah study at 11 after the Shabbat service. There'll be Gesher Hebrew classes on Sunday, November 7th in person. And then on Saturday, on November 9th, on Tuesday, Talk Amongst Ourselves will be discussing the fight to end gun violence and to join the Ceasefire PA program via Zoom, and that link is listed there. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to see this on here, but I'll put this up here. So this is the diaper drive. We at the temple is collecting diapers for the refugees, the new refugees that have come to Erie. So the Tukon Alum Committee wants everyone to get behind this project and to donate diapers, pull-ups, wipes, diaper creams, any sorts of sizes are welcome. We started collecting them. They're in the lobby here, and they'll be collecting them through Thanksgiving. And financial donations can also be sent to the temple. Yes.
Well, you've got to do the services this weekend, our memory.
Okay. Thank you, Edie. Services this weekend are in memory of Virginia Joseph and Jack Blumberg. Sorry for not recognizing that. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. So on Tuesday, we'll be joined with Josh Fleitman, who is Western Pennsylvania's manager for Ceasefire, really talking about three core ideas of how to reduce the gun violence in society. And Josh will have lots more to share with us on Tuesday. And then next Friday, we are having a very special Shabbat. It is Veterans Shabbat. And we have a number of veterans who will be here with us, as well as our VFW folks will do an honor guard ceremony, as well as we have an amazing collection of people's artifacts and memorabilia and pictures and amazing things that celebrate our own local Erie Anshe Chesed communities' contributions to the armed forces, as well as a very special display that has been loaned to us by the Jewish War Veterans of America. So really a wonderful opportunity to come and celebrate and thank all those for their service. And we are going to conclude this evening. As we've talked about voting, and we're thinking about gun violence this week, all relate to our name, Anshe Chesed, people of kindness, people of compassion, and making sure that we can reach out to people and share that. And so we'll end with our song, Olam Chesed, Can We Build This World? And the way we build our world is through peace and kindness and love.
Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. 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 I will build this world from love, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. And you must build this world from love, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. And if we build this world from love, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. Then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, dai, dai, Yadadai, dai.
We join together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziyat mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim. V'shabbat kodshecha v'uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Mark and Sue, would you lead us in Motzi?
Motzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rising together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Again, thank you so much, Bill and Mark and Sue. Thank you for your wonderful musical contributions. And we hope to see everybody soon. Wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom. Stay safe.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Shabbat Shalom.
Sue, Mark, nice to meet you all.
Yes, sometimes.
Hi, Robinson.
Nice to
Nice
meet you
to
too.
meet you
Your presentation was very interesting.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks.